understanding, right? Because the backend is run on the Apache Spark, right? So I'll tell you all those things in detail in a while, right? But this is the basic, necessity what is required to work on this tool. And if your inclination is more towards the action development side, right? Where you'll be creating, you might have some of the features like workshop, right? Or basically say dashboards, etc., right? Where you would have to build not just dashboard, but a live application. So in that case, you would be required to have understanding TypeScript or say JavaScript, right? So these are the different skill set that might be required to work on this tool, right? Right. So that is something on the tool itself, and a little bit about my experience also on this Foundry, right? So because I come from the data domain, domain, right? So that really helped me to get onto this tool, right? And now started giving the demos and all of that, right, to the audience, right? So if I may ask, right, like to you, Rajesh, Sharif, right? So if any one of you, right, or Adil maybe, right, if you can tell me that, what is your understanding so far from this tool, right? And if you can also maybe, give a little bit of background about yourself. So are you a working experience person, or, have you recently, got into the industry, and that is one thing. And second is, what do you know so far about Palantir Foundry, right? How do you get to know about it? Are you working on it, right? So what is your aspiration?
Yeah, I can go this one,
Sure.
Ankit. So this is Sharif. So I have around 15 to 16 years of experience overall, and I have extensively worked for 10 years on SQL, PL and I have worked on some few another UI tools as well, like D2K and Informatica, all those things I supported. But core was
Mm-hmm.
SQL and PL. And
Mm-hmm.
later I moved to the Talent actually, ETL tool. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Talent tool, and then we have, as part of migrations, right? I have upgraded towards Azure Cloud actually. So currently,
Mm-hmm.
from past 4 years, I'm working on Databricks, PySpark, SQL, Databricks, IADF. These things I'm working. So good
Mm-hmm.
hands-on on ETL part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, I have come across this Palantir Foundry. Like I understand, like there's something AIP, like artificial intelligence platform, something. I was doing some groundwork, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
wanted to deep dive actually on this one. It's
Mm-hmm.
something more comfortable, right? Like compared to Databricks. I understand that if we have good hands-on on Databricks, then this will be a upgraded version.
Right.
Not
Right.
you can correct it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, as part of my upgradation, I'm trying to adapt this tool actually. Yeah, this is something about
Mm-hmm.
me again.
Understood. Understood, Sharif. Thanks for sharing that. Maybe Adil or Rajesh, if any one of you also would like to introduce and yeah, give some
Yeah,
point.
my name is Rajesh, and I have around about 14 plus years of experience. And I come from the BI background, and I slowly move into data engineering side actually. So I work pretty much now in the AWS cloud with a Lambda step function and DBT Snowflake. So pretty much on the data engineering side. So for past 2 3 years, I'm working on this area, and mostly on the solutioning side. I work as an architect. So this is my experience. Yeah. And regarding Palantir, I come to know a lot of news about Palantir. So it has been used in a lot of wars and all that stuff. And apart from that, a lot of newses are coming out. And I mean, very niche area because most of the companies don't go for that. Very small I mean, very big giants are going for this kind of a tool. So that is what. But I'm looking more into, apart from data engineering, more into that. I'm looking more into AIP also, artificial intelligence, where so that is one thing I interested on. Uh, because I worked on little bit of machine learning also in my previous projects and also. So I'm looking towards data engineering as well as AIP. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Got it, Rajesh. Yeah. Thank you.
Uh,
And
yes.
who else do we
And
have? I think we have Adil also, right?
can
Yeah.
you hear me?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Adil. I have 15 to 16 years of experience. Currently working as a data analyst for a telecom giant in US. Looking forward for trading related to Palantir and Foundry because most of the data that we have for a particular project is focused in Palantir Foundry, and I need a way to understand the entire tool set so that I could read that particular data and build dashboards and create
Mhm.
an ontology structure that some of the data is not structured within this particular company that we are working. So we are trying to build a
Mhm.
project to be able to build an entire ontology taxonomy based structure into
Understood.
Foundry.
Yeah. Okay. So that's a good thing, Adil. I think you already have a Palantir Foundry instance, right, in your organization, and you've got a project also. So you have to standardize things. So, okay. And yeah, so let's go ahead, please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So my name is Subil, and I'm very new to this data engineering or AI side. I have
Mhm.
around 10 years experience in embedded system, and I currently work as a software engineer, process engineer in a medical field. I'm looking to do a switch into this data engineering or data scientist role. For that, I'm actually looking onto this, and there's a requirement for this Palantir slash Python slash PySpark in a different team, and I'm trying to make a switch. So that's the reason I'm actually going for this one. And I'm hearing a lot about this Palantir Foundry as well. And yeah, I don't know anything about this. I'm just new to this data engineering.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
Yeah, I have Python
Thanks,
experience,
Abel.
but that's more into this GUI application and the embedded side of things. Although I have did some machine learning and similar courses on different
Mhm.
online platforms. Apart
Mhm.
from that, I don't have any other data engineering experience, to be honest.
Understood. Understood, Sabil. Yeah. Thanks for
Yeah,
sharing that. So
cheers.
I guess yeah, we have covered everyone. So I think few of the people have Foundry instance in the organization and they're wanting to getting this demo in order to have us understanding about what all things we can explore in Foundry, right? With data engineering or with application development where we can build the dashboards, right? Some of you also have some projects on the machine learning, right? So that is also something which we can do inside the Foundry, right? So yeah, let me now maybe share my screen, right? Just a minute. Let me know if you can see it.
Sorry, can I play some more question? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Do you see my screen? Sorry, somebody was saying something. Can you speak a little bit louder? I could not hear well.
Hey, this is Subil again. Can I clear some more question, please?
Yes, yes, please.
So in this course, would we be concentrating more on Palantir as a tool, or will you cover also the SQL, PySpark side of things?
Hmm. So, the focus would be more on the Palantir platform side, right? The tool side itself, right? Uh, in terms of coding, right, with respect to SQL, PySpark, right, or Apache Spark, right? So I would, help you basically in building some codes through live sessions itself, right? I will give you the exercises and even, the exercises or the case study that I will take, throughout this program. That is something where you can see, how we can use the PySpark, right? Apart from that, I would, share some documentation with you, a PDF version actually for this Apache Spark, right? So that you can get to know more about it, you can understand more about it. Basically, when do we use it, right? So basically, it's like to handle the big data, right? Where you have data in the terabytes, right? And every day new data is coming in, right? You have to process it, right? So you have the big data, right? And to handle the big data, Apache Spark, is one of the greatest good technology basically to handle it, right? Because it's distributes your data basically, right? So it's nothing but the distributed data engine, right, which allows the data to process in parallel, right? So that's why we use it, right? And the entire backend of Palantir Foundry, right, is takes into account the Apache Spark, right? So Yeah, on this line, basically, we will have these sessions basically. But so as I said, right, it would be more focused towards the platform side, right? But with the case that I will build, right, or that, the throughout this journey, the case study that I've built, right? So in there, you can see basically how we can utilize the PySpark, right? And obviously, right, you can explore more, right? uh, Depending on the, so you must have a problem statement in your mind, right? And that way you can write the code basically, right? So that's how it is. And lastly, this documentation what I'm going to share with you, you can go through that, right? So it would cover end to end basically, the architecture of Spark. So yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Right. So I hope you can see my screen, right? Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we are able to see. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are the basically different topics that we are going to cover, right? Just
Can you
maximize
zoom?
my screen.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So it's not like, hard coded topics, right? We can improvise basically, right? Forget about the timings also for now, right? So this is just a sample, piece of demo topics what I've kept in here, right? So we would go through the architecture, right? We would go through how do we, organize the projects basically, right? And what are actually projects and resources within the Foundry, right? And how do we organize it, right? Then we will come on to where we would be ingesting the data from multiple different sources, right? For example, if we have to ingest the data from Oracle server, right, or SQL server, or maybe Snowflake, right? How do we do that, right? So before I even go inside these topics, right? Because you might not know, right, what these things are, or you may be able to relate some of the things, right? But in a nutshell, basically, Palantir Foundry, right? So this tool actually, came into existence, back in, uh, basically, Palantir is a company, right, which supports the US government into different various government projects, right? So that's how this organization was, build up actually. So they were supporting, or they still support actually CIA, right? So during the COVID also they supported the government, right, in terms of data tracking, right, all of those things, right? And around 2016, I think they started commercializing their product actually, right, which is nothing but the Palantir Foundry, right, with the name of Foundry. So commercializing means they started getting into or selling this platform to different industries basically, or to different companies, right? So since then, they have been evolving their platform, right? They've been adding new features, every now and then, basically, so as to get this tool to a much, much easier or much, much efficient way, so that, organizations can use it, right? So that's what it is, right? That's how Palantir came into existence, right? And what this tool covers is, it does not just cover, the ETL process. It does not just cover the transformation process, right? So it's everything in there, right? You can bring the data from multiple sources inside the Foundry, right? You can do the transformations basically inside the Foundry, right? Correct. So that you can do using the coding environment, right? Or you can even use the no code environment applications, right, to orchestrate your data pipelines, right? So you can bring the data inside the Foundry, right? And that too in a very, very large amount, right? As I said, it supports a big data, right? Because we have Apache Spark in the backend, right? You can transform that data, right, using either pipeline builder or code repositories, right? That are the two applications which supports you for the transformation, right? Once your transformation is done, once you have orchestrated your pipeline, right? So after that, uh, you could either, uh, analyze that data, right? So there are multiple applications, like Contour is one of the applications through which you can analyze this data, right? Apart from that, you can also build, analyze this data, where you have to, where you are supposed to do the predictive modeling, right? So using statistics, right, all of that. So you can use the machine learning in there, right? So that also this tool covers, right? Then you can also build the applications on top of this, right? Applications on top of this, where your ontology comes into the picture. So we'll go to the concept of ontology and see, what is it actually, right? So as I said, you can even build the applications on top of it. So in application wise, some of the applications are like Workshop, Quiver, right? Where you can build the applications, right? So the purpose is when you build a dashboard, right? So the purpose that a dashboard serves is it's a tracking tool, right? It's a monitoring tool, right? Whereas in here in the Foundry, when you build a workshop application, so its purpose is not just to track and monitor the data, it's also to take actions on that data, right? So think of it like, you might have used an Uber application, right? Which where you go in there in your phone, right? And you book a ride, right? Where you put the pickup destination, the end destination, right? And then you select which uh, Uber do you want, right? Whether it is Uber Go, if it is Uber Black, right? Or Uber Premium, right? And then you select it, and then, a call goes to a driver, right? Basically, right? A call goes to the driver, and driver select that, basically your request, right? So similar to that, this is the same application, right? Where you are supposed to basically bring data inside it, right? You can take actions on the live data, right? Where you, for example, you can, change the, whatever, for example, think of it like there is a, like a, say, telecommunication company, right? So you are getting some tickets from the customers, right? Which you're logging in from your external application, and you're moving those tickets inside the Palantir Foundry, right? So these tickets are nothing, where customers are facing maybe networking issues, right? Or maybe they're facing some issues with their equipment, right? Or some area network is down, right? Some specific area, right? Correct. So all these data you are logging in inside your Palantir Foundry, and then you have built an application on top of it, right? In the workshop, right? Where you can see, okay, these are the tickets, right? Now the operation team within the Foundry, right? Within your organization is going to use this tool, going to use this application, where they can change the status of the different tickets, right? So they can assign the tickets to themselves, or there could be an automated way to assign the tickets to themselves, right? And then they would be changing the statuses, right, depending on the work progress, right? So as I said, right, that you would be able to take action on that data, right? So it's not just a monitoring tracking purpose data, right, inside that application, but you would even be able to take actions, right? So we'll get into more detail, right, when we progress in the sessions, right? So that's how it is, right? uh right. And so there is an application which we can build, right? Apart from that, basically, we have AIP also, right? So AIP is nothing but artificial intelligence platform within the Foundry, right? Where they have given few applications, right? Few applications like with the name of AIP Logic and AIP Agent Chatbot Studio, right? Where you can design the using the power of LLM, you can design your applications basically, right? So that if user comes to your application, right, similar workshop application, right? So they may have some, questions, correct, with respect to some data. So they can just simply give a prompt in there, and then with the power of LLM, it would fetch the understanding from your ontology and give you the answers basically, right? For example, if a if a user wants to know, right, on the management, right, that, what is the status, or, in the last month, how many tickets we have resolved, right? So that is something that LLM, with the help of LLM, it would give you an answer, right? Where LLM would go inside and search in your ontology this particular query, what user has given, right? And it would give you the answer, right? So this is one of the use cases, but you can have, multiple use cases built on top of the AIP basically, right? So this is the overall capability of the tool. As I said, the backend is supported by the Apache Spark, right? You can even bring real-time data, right? Meaning the streaming data inside the Foundry. And for that, backend is supported by Apache Flink, right? So these are the two different, running engines behind the Foundry, right? Most of the work Foundry has, Foundry platform team has, will be doing for you, right? So they have configured the Apache Spark and Apache Flink in the backend, so you would not have to spend much time thinking about it, right? But yes, in terms of optimization, you have to have understanding of Spark so that you can apply it in your code, right? Yeah. So this is the overall, capability of the tool, what this tool can perform. Obviously, when we go inside the tool, there would be much more things to look at, right? But in the nutshell, or in the very high level, these are all the capabilities what this tool can cover, right? So any questions so far on this, right? And then, we can maybe, go through the scheduling and schedule, and then, we will get on started with the architecture basically, right? Yeah. Yes, Adil, Subail or
Uh,
Rajesh, if you have any questions, yeah, please go ahead.
does the training also cover the portion of bringing external data into
Yes,
Palantir
yes.
and
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
So I'll be showcasing you that, how do we do data ingestion from so there's a term data ingestion, right? When we have to ingest the data or bring the data inside Foundry from external system, right? So yes, I will be showcasing you how do we do that using Snowflake, right? How do we do that if we have Azure Data Lake Studio storage, right? Where we do the file-based ingestion, right? And also how do we do it using the APIs, right? So
How about the unstructured data? Something like a PDF that's
right,
coming in, which has information about all the tables, so that conversion
correct.
can happen.
Yes.
Okay.
So basically, when we do the data ingestion, right, from say relational databases, right? So your relational databases lies in your, either say Oracle database server, SQL server, or Snowflake maybe, right? So from here we get the data in the structured format, right? Like in the form of rows and columns, correct? Because in these database servers, you would have tables basically, right? So tables keep the data in the rows and columns. So that's why we call it as structured data set. So yes, that is one example what I will be showing you. Coming to the second, right, where you said that about the unstructured data, right? So basically, we would have another external system, say either S3, S3, or maybe Azure Data Lake Storage, right? Where we would be having files placed in there, right? So it could either be flat files like CSVs, right? CSVs again could have data in the raw data, structured data format, right? That is something I'm going to show you, that how do we do a file based ingestion, right? Second is we will also be placing some PDFs inside these, Azure Data Lake Storage itself, right? Where we would be ingesting the PDFs, right? Which is something like as an unstructured data format, right? Inside the Palantir Foundry. And then how do we, transform that data, right? What all use cases we can build on top of it. So yeah, these two things will be covered inside the data ingestion.
So this JSON, everything will be covered, right? Ankit? JSON
Yes,
format,
yes. Yeah,
API, yeah, because
right.
semi-structured is got it.
Yeah.
So
So data ingestion, I think you have a built-in tools are there inside Palantir, right? Apart from your PySpark, even Python can be used inside the code. I mean,
Yeah. So,
PySpark.
right. So, in order to ingest the data inside the Foundry, they have some application in there with the name of data connection, right? Where you would have to go in there, you would have to give the authentication details, right, for your source system, right? That
Okay.
how you'd be connecting to the source, right? And different mechanisms, basically, right? If you have to go with the username, password, or if you have some certificates in place, right? So that is something you have to give as a detail. Once the connection is established, right? It would take you to the next screen where it would ask you that uh, what basically what particular data you want to ingest now from the source system, right? So for example, if you have connected Foundry with a Oracle server, right, or SQL server, so once the connection is established, right, you would have to create a new, so there is a term called as sync basically, right? If you see there, this one, sync, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Sync.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, so it would ask you to create a new sync, right? So this sync could either be, where you are ingesting a table, right? Correct. For example, if you have to ingest a table, correct? So in there, when you would be creating on this sync, new sync, basically, it would ask you to select that, right? So it would just be a very drag and drop thing, right? Point and click. So you would have to, Foundry will list down all the data, all the tables that you have in this particular database, right? With which you have made the connection, right? It would list down all the tables, right? You would just have to pinpoint and select that particular table, right? And then it would ask you where do you want to store this table, right? Like which is the location inside the Foundry, or which is the folder or project inside the Foundry where you want to store this, right? So once you do that, right, correct, it would take you inside that sync configuration page basically, where again, it would just be a very so far there is no coding required there. Again, you would have to put the details, like whether you want to keep it as a manual schedule or whether you want to schedule this data set, right? So I'm going to show you that right in a while basically, but yeah, this is all what is going to cover. And there you would have to specify that what all columns you have to bring from this particular table from the source system, because you may not want to bring all the data, right? So that is something there, right? Yeah.
So it supports Python, PySpark, Java. You have anything other
Yeah.
language?
Yeah.
Golang.
Yeah.
Golang is there? No.
Right, right. So, coming to the programming languages that it would support, right? Like when you would be writing the code in the code repository to do the transformation. So, the data ingestion is done through this part where, minimal coding is required, right? But when you do the create the data pipelines, right? So, as I said, there are two features, right? One is code-based code repository, other is pipeline builder, where pipeline builder is no code environment, but through code repository, you can write the codes, right? So, supported codes are or supported programming languages are Python transformation, right? So PySpark is nothing but you're using Python itself, right? It's like a
Yeah.
API, Python API, right, on top of the Apache Spark, right? So that is there. Then second option you have is SQL basically, right? And third option you get is a Java language basically. That is something also you can write. So these are the three basically programming languages it would support, right?
So
In
it's
terms
is
of
it
when you have to build the data pipelines. Yeah.
so is it Python and Java or Python or Java?
And so Python, when I say Python, it is PySpark basically
Yeah, so is it like a PySpark and SQL, or should
and Java.
do we also need to know Java?
Yeah,
Like, okay,
right.
is PySpark and SQL just not enough? Is it not?
No, no, these are the three capabilities they have given. So it's either it's your choice basically which programming language you want to build your transformation on. So
Okay, okay. So
it
we
yeah.
but SQL is important. Like we need SQL anyways, regardless of Python or Java.
Say that again, please.
So SQL is something that we use for on the database, but
Mhm.
the choice is between PySpark and Java. Yeah.
No, no. As I said, you have three choices. You can either write your transformations using the PySpark,
Okay.
right, or
Or SQL.
SQL. Yeah,
Okay. Or Java.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Got it. And one more thing there. So the coding part only happens for the data transformation part, is it? For data ingestion, you said like all these columns, rows we have to specify and all the certificates and API tokens, all those things. And
Mhm.
this data, sorry, the next
So for
part, yeah.
yeah. So for ingestion part also there is little bit of coding required basically, right? And there we are supposed to write the SQL code, depending on right if you are bringing the data from the relational database, right? For example, if you're bringing the data from Oracle server or Snowflake or SQL server, right? So then you are supposed to write a basic SQL query, right? Where you would have to specify like, select star from this particular table, right? Depending on what all data do you want inside Foundry, you would write that query, right? If you want everything, you can just write select star from this table, right? If you want basically selective columns, you can write select, this column one, column two from this table. If you want to, filter out some of the rows and bring only those inside the Foundry, then you would use a where clause, right?
Hmm.
You can even use maybe joins or something, right? Again, depending on what is your requirement rather, right? Because it may happen that, your table already has been built inside your SQL server, right? With all the joins and all of that, right? So you may not want, so you may just want to simply bring the data inside Foundry, right? But in some instances, it may happen that, you may do some additional transformation on top of your table, right? So this SQL query, what you would write inside Palantir, right, to bring the data, this would run on your source table basically, right? Because you so far you have not ingested the data inside Foundry,
Hmm.
right? Yeah.
Got it,
So
got it.
we'll cover all these details and show you. I think with the live or with the practical, when you would see it, you would be able to get
And
make more out of it. And yeah.
sorry, how many projects do we do like from scratch to the final product? And do we also do like decision making processes on the data using the AIP or ontology?
Mhm.
Uh,
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So towards the end of this entire training session, right, we would have something like this application basically, right? So this is nothing but a workshop application, right? Where you can see, right, we have data being organized in the table, right? We have some charts also, we have some metric cards also, right? So this is similar to if you have worked on maybe Tableau or Power BI, right? Or maybe some other BI tool, right? You build similar kind of views, right? But on top of it, right, because through this you are able to uh, track your data, right? What is the live status, right? For the how many EMIs have been paid, right? Etc. All of that, right? What is the given information of a loan at a point of time, right? correct? But as I said, right, you would be even be able to take action on top of it. So what I meant is, for example, if you know the loan team, right, so you've given this application to a risk management team, right? So if they see, if they want to flag any loan, right, where they see the risk is there, right, so they can select this, for example, right, and then they can click on this flag loans, right? Correct. So here they can select the flag that it is a critical, right? And they can give some reason, right? And they can give that, you know, this particular credit score, this particular customer who has taken this loan has, you know, a low credit band score, right? So all of those details, these fields are nothing but you would be able to see it in here itself, right? Flag is there, right? Credit score band is here, right? So you would be able to take decisions, take actions, and modify your existing data, right? Correct.
So
So
take actions means just on the dialogue that you, it's like, is that the interactive process you mean by taking action?
yeah, correct.
Okay.
And there is even ALP, what you see here on the left side, right? So this is nothing but similar to like how you have seen your, or if you've worked using, you know, Gemini or Chat GPT, right? So it has some automated prompts that comes in here. So you can design, you know, what prompts could be, you know, are the most useful ones where user can come in and click in and just get the information, right? And they can even be able to give the query in here, right? So for example, if I click on this, just click on this, it would parse the data, basically what you have given in here in the ontology, and get you the answer, right? So these are some of the things, right, you could do achieve using the AIP.
So this application is developed using you said TypeScript. I mean TypeScript.
Yeah, so this application is nothing but the workshop application, and workshop allows you to basically, it's a no code application, right? So where you are
Okay,
just going
okay,
to point and click and do the drag and drop.
okay,
TypeScript comes into the picture, right? So they have given a functionality where you can, you know, even you know, program or customize it, right? Because it may happen that, you know, your requirement may not be fulfilled with all the components which are given inside this workshop application, right, where you could just point and click, right, and get that. So for example, if this table is there, right, you can see this table representation. So there is a component defined or given inside the backend of this workshop application, right? You can just select the table, you can just drag and drop your data in there, and you would see the data, right? However, some of the features may not be fulfilled, right? So in that case, they have given a customized option, right, where you are supposed to do the TypeScript programming, right? And
okay.
then, yeah, that way you can customize it in a much better way, right? So that is there. So you can see here, right, when I gave this query, so AIP, you know, went inside the ontology, or basically the data that we have passed in there, right? And it gives you the risk distribution, right? Risk level distribution, all of this, right? So yeah, there is a lot of things in there, right? In order to do the data selections or filtering, right? You can select something from here, right, and get the answer. If you
Is
want to
this
just
Ye-
see the moderate ones, yeah.
is this a
Yeah.
component that this
Yeah.
chat style thing?
Hmm.
Is this a component in the Palantir thing? Yeah.
Yeah. So there is another application basically within the Foundry with the name of AIP Chatbot Studio or AIP Logic, right? As I said, they have given two applications, right? So that is something you can integrate within this workshop application, basically, right?
Okay. And all
Yeah.
these comes after the transformations and all those things on the data. Yeah.
Yes, correct. So this is something, you know, would look like as an end product, basically, right? Once, yeah.
So where is this actually mentioned in that the overall syllabus? Can you quickly show me that
Mhm.
one
Yeah,
in the previous sheet,
yeah.
please?
Right. So we already looked at this, right? Then data transformation using the pipeline builder, right? We would be covering this. How do we?
Ankit, your
Yeah.
voice is breaking. I mean, not able to hear.
Okay. Is it better?
No, I don't know. It's from my side or everybody has a issue.
No, it's a
No,
bit.
there's some disturbance actually.
Okay, hold
Yeah, now better.
Now it's
Now
better.
better.
on. Is it better now?
Yep, better.
Okay, just 1 minute. Yeah, let me know if you can see my screen.
No,
Not
we're not able to.
yeah. Now it is enabling.
Yeah,
It's popping. Yeah, we are
yeah.
able to see.
Right. So yeah, when it would come to the code repository, right? So we would go to these features basically, right? Like how do we initialize a code repository, right? What all different data transformations we can do using the PySpark or maybe SQL, right? Then this code repository also supports a even pipeline builder, right? So they do support the versioning actually, right? So
Mhm.
if you may have worked on the GitHub, right, you would see that we are able to create the branches and all of that, right? And then we raise the pull request, right, to merge the changes we have done with the master branch, right? So that concept is also there, which I'm going to go through, right? And then how do we build basically incremental pipelines or snapshot pipelines, right? So if you worked on the data, right, data engineering side, right? So when we bring a data, right, from one external system to maybe Foundry or maybe, Databricks, for example, right? If your data, right, uh, you know, is changing on every day in your source system, right? Correct. If you have, for example, 10,000 rows of data in your source system, right? And if it is changing like almost 90% or 80% of data is changing on everyday basis, right? In that case, we will bring the data inside the Foundry or maybe inside Databricks or any system where you are ingesting, right? And you would do the snapshot, right? So by snapshot, what it means is you are overwriting the data entirely what was from the previous day, right? Whereas incremental is something which we do when, for example, if your 10,000 rows of data, right, is there in your source system, and only 10% of data, right, is maybe uh, or maybe entire data is remaining same and you are only getting new records on the every next day, right? So maybe on day one you had 10,000 rows of data, on day two you had 10,010 rows of data, right, for example. So 10,000 rows have remained same and only 10 new rows have got added, right? So in that case you may not want to bring entire data or process entire data and bring it inside Foundry on everyday basis, right? So you may only want to process the new records and get it inside the Foundry, right? So that is what we call as incremental, right? So your entire data will be there in the Foundry, but it's going to search through the source system that what is the new data, right? And that's what we call as incremental, right? So that's what I'm going to go through and understand you, right? Then how do we use code repository as libraries, right? So think of an instance, right, where basically you have within the code repository, right, when you are bringing the data inside Foundry, right? So you are doing some standardizations, right, of your columns. Maybe you are removing the duplicates, maybe you are standardizing the schemas, right? Standardizing schemas, maybe you are maybe changing the data types, right, or changing the column names, right? For example, uppercase column names are coming in and you want to convert it into a lowercase, right? You may want to also bring in the underscore, right, in between your column name somewhere, right? So there is a defined pattern now you have identified and you follow it on every ingestion that you do, right? In every table that you ingest inside the Foundry, you follow this pattern, right? So in order to eliminate the daily job, right, you would be doing, right? So you can just use this code repository as a library, right? And that library is something you can use inside your code repository, right? Basically, where you would be writing your transformation so that you can just refer that library, right? And you would not have to, do those transformations or maybe, standardize, you have standardized those functions inside this library, right? So I would show you how do you do that. Then how do we schedule the data sets, right? How do we apply some data expectations or health checks on top of your data set so that your pipeline remains healthy, right? Because once your data is inside your Foundry, right, and you're building pipelines on top of it, right, you have to ensure that your pipelines are running on daily basis, right? Your data is coming from source system on daily basis, right, depending on the schedules, right? Because it could be either a 1 day schedule, right, or twice in a day schedule. It could either be a monthly schedule, right? So you have to make sure it runs on daily basis, right? And if it doesn't run, it triggers a notification, right? Correct. So how do we do that, right? Then how do we do a rollback? For example, if some bad data has come from the source system, right, and it has corrupted your data pipeline in the downstreams, right? So how do you do a rollback, right? So these are some of the things we would do. Similarly, on the same lines, same things we are going to cover using the pipeline builder, where pipeline builder, as I said, it's a no code environment, right? So you would see how do we do the data transformation, right? How do we write the prompts basically, right? Using the LLMs, right? To create the pipelines, right? Then similar to that, right? Right format and all of that, right? And then we will also cover the contour analysis. So contour is one of the other application inside the Foundry, right? Which allows you to do the data analysis basically, right? Where you would be, generating some graphs, generating some tables, right? All of that, right? For a quick analysis. So these are some of the things, and then we will move ahead with the ontology side, where we would see how do we create an ontology, what is an ontology actually mean, right? What are the action types, right? How do we take decisions on top of the ontology, right? And then we would go on with the workshop application, where workshop application takes ontology as an input, right? Workshop does not take data set as an input, it takes ontology as an input, right? So where we would go and understand, how do we design a workshop application, right? What are some of the advanced feature within the workshop, and then how do we use the right, if we have to customize the workshop, right, using the TypeScript, right? So we would see what is a different capability of TypeScript and how it could support inside the workshop application, right? And then we will cover some aspects on the security and governance, right, where we would see that because you don't want to expose your data, right, to everyone in the organization, right? So how do you take care of that, right? uh, so that is there, right, which we will cover under the security and governance. And last we will cover on the artificial intelligence platform, right, where we'll be covering AIP logic and AIP agent, right, for to build a much more of an agentic application, right? So this is going to be the overall content what we are going to cover inside this training sessions. Yeah. Right. Any questions, guys, on this? Or if not, then I can move on.
Okay.
I just want to understand this workshop application, but
Mm-hmm.
actually, so you say that the data you are bringing inside and you're taking action on that. That means taking action in the sense you modify the existing column or create a new column like that. Yeah.
Yeah, modify the existing column value basically, right?
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it is not a typical like what is there in the source. You see that in the destination. It's not like that. I mean,
Yeah.
you top of that you take action so that I mean the person who's working can modify that data actually. So you are giving
That's
that
right.
option.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's
So
more
you.
of an application that can be used by operational users actually, right? So
Mm-hmm.
as I gave you the example of Uber, right? That a
Mm-hmm.
person goes in there and select the pickup location. So all
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
those things you can do in here also. You can create some kind of a form, or maybe within the table itself,
Okay. Okay.
users can go in and make changes, right? So that is what we call as ontology taking decisions basically, right? Yeah.
So you can, I don't know, we can develop an high-end CRM application kind of things. That is not possible.
Absolutely, absolutely. We can create. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Right. So this is going to be, the topics, right? And
so
since we
Josh,
have, yeah, sorry, go ahead, please. Yeah.
so sorry to interrupt.
Yes, Subhi.
Yes, so sorry about the PySpark and the coding side. So mainly the PySpark and the other Python use cases will be. Can you show me like where exactly in these syllabus we mainly
Mhm.
or in this we mainly use? Is it in the data
Uh,
transformation pipeline and the first data
mhm.
transformation, or like what exact areas will be using that?
Yeah. So, we are going to use this content actually, right? So, I'm just, yeah. So basically, we're going to cover the architecture, right? And then, right, we are going to cover the project resourcing, right? But as you said, regarding the, Python and all of that, right? So basically, yeah. So we are going to go with, something like this as a use case, right? For this, I will be sharing the data sets with you, basically, right? That is something you can, ingest inside the Foundry, or I'll show you basically, how it is done, and then you can replicate the same process, right? But this is going to be much more of a business problem we are going to solve. And on this business problem itself, right, we are going to create these things, basically a unified data view, right? So this is much more on the application side, what all we will be building actions, right? And on data transformations, right, these are the different things that we will be covering, right? So yeah. So I would be giving you some exercises also, right, through an assessments, basically, right, where you could cover these things, right? Uh, yeah, so that's what it's going to be, basically. So it's going to be a two-way process, basically. One, where the focus would be on the technical side, but parallelly the focus will be also in terms of, data, what we are going to, generate throughout this journey, right? So that case is something which is this one, what we are going to solve. Yeah.
Okay, so can I ask one more thing? Do you think I have to take extra courses on PySpark or SQL to understand or to follow up with you? Because I already know
Yes,
Python.
please. There is misunderstanding. Yes, please. So, uh, see, Apache Spark is still something, which it may happen that you may not know, right, in terms of the architecture. I will, as I said, right, I will give you a PDF for that, right, to understand more about, when do we have to use it, right? But yes, SQL and Python are something which are, very much required, so that, you would be able to relate to the, what all different data transformations we have to apply, right? So, for example, right, if you have to apply the group by, or if you have to apply maybe, a join, right? So that is
Yeah,
something, it is,
yeah.
basic expectation that, someone should know, basically, if you have to work on this tool. Yeah.
No, I know those Python things and all those transformations and the things used on the data sets. Is that enough? Like, is there anything, something additionally I need to know?
Yeah,
Like I have to
additionally,
specify. Yeah.
only thing would be the Apache Spark architecture, right? That is one. Secondly, if you have to, work on the application development side, right? Workshop, right? So you would be able to still do it, right? But as I said, right, some of the features do require, customization. And for that, TypeScript comes into the picture. So it would be good if you, go and understand TypeScript also. So that, if you have to build some, customization features, right? So you would be able to do that, right?
Yeah, I don't really have a problem with JavaScript and Python itself. It's just this Apache server kind of things. I think
Right.
it's
Yeah.
like when you said you shared the PDF document, I think that's enough if I do put some work
Yeah,
from my own
that's
side
right.
to
Because,
integrate them.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's more of concepts that you have to understand, basically. Then you will be able to apply it, right? And to apply it, it's not very difficult, basically, right? It's just the methods that you have to understand, right? So,
Okay. Yeah.
for example, right, if I, go in here and open this data set, right? Yeah. So within here, right? So this is the Foundry data set, right? This is how the, UI looks like for this, right? Where you could see, when this data got last updated, who created it, right? And we have a resource identifier, basically, right? So I'll tell you all of this, right? What does it mean? How is it important? Then it gives you the size of this data set, right? It has 26 columns, 5,000 rows, uh, two files, 3.6 MB is the size, right? So within here, if I go into the details, right? And if I click on the files, correct? So you would see, basically, this is how, you know the files are being stored, right? The data is being stored inside the files in the Foundry, right? So this file is nothing but in the Parquet format, right? You can see dot Parquet, right? So this is correct. So basically, going forward, right, if you build this data set on daily basis, right, and if it is an incremental, right, for example, your data would not remain just in a single file, right? So if you, because your data set will keep on growing, right? Because here, when I showed you, this data set size is 3.76 MB, right? So say it reaches to 100 MB, 1000 MB, right? 1 GB, right? So this single file would not remain as is, right? It would split into multiple files, right, in the Parquet format, basically. So Spark would only do that, right? Correct. So the concept of Spark comes into the picture where your data set gets processed or data gets processed in the parallel computations, right? Parallel, computations basically. So you would have multiple files, and for each of the files, your file size should almost be equivalent, right? So that's where the concept of Spark would come in, right? Where you would see the file size is there, right? So one file size is of 128 MB, other is of maybe 20 MB, right? So there is a skew. So how do you, take care of that? So that is something where Spark would have to come in, right? And within the code, maybe you have to apply a method of repartition. So there is one method of repartition where you are going to shuffle all the data and create equal partitions, right? But more and less, Palantir takes care of that in the backend itself, right? So, but yeah, in certain instances, you may have to, apply those changes within the code level actually for the better optimization. Yeah. So Spark is associated more in the lines of optimization, right? When you have to do the optimization. But yes, you have to understand the concept, because in Spark, basically the architecture wise, there is a cluster, right? There is a driver and there is a executor, right? So basically this driver is there, which gives the data, or basically divides the data to each and every executor, where these executors process this data in the parallels, right? So that's why you have multiple executors, right? So that's how the architecture works, so that your data processing can be finished in a faster time, right? And because it is a big data, right, if you process the data at one executor only, right, it would basically burst out, right? It would not be able to, right, do it. So think of it like you have a machine basically, right? And this machine's purpose is to uh, give instructions to the other machines that are connected with it, right, to process your data, right? So that's what is the concept behind Spark also, right? So that your request can be fulfilled in a faster time, right, and with an efficient way, right? So Subil and Adil, basically you can even write the codes in the Python programming language within the code repository, right? uh, right, but the problem with that is your Python code would be less optimized, say. So that's why you what is suggestible is that you write the codes in the PySpark format basically, right? So it's almost same, it's little bit of different functions. So basically there are defined functions within the PySpark, right, that you would have to use, similar to how we have in Python also, right, where you import different libraries, right, like pandas, right, or NumPy, right, and then you use the functions from there, right? So in PySpark basically you would have to use the functions that are inbuilt, basically the API functions, right? So as to better utilize the capability of Spark. Yeah.
So is Spark is just something like NumPy, Pandas, and all those things. Yeah.
Sorry, Subil, can you speak a little bit louder? I'm hearing,
Okay, sorry. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, but I don't know if it is for me, but you're audible, but I have to, really put my ear in next to the laptop
Okay,
speaker,
can you hear
actually.
me now?
Yes, yes, now it is much better.
Oh yeah, so Spark is something similar to Pandas, NumPy, and all those kind of libraries, is it?
No, no, no. Spark is your computation engine, actually. Right. Pandas and all of these are libraries. So you have, like, Spark itself has libraries within itself, right? Spark is not
Okay.
a library. There are libraries within the Spark, actually, which
Okay,
you can
okay, okay.
use. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Yeah, sure. And one more thing regarding the classes, will there be recordings provided for each and every classes?
Yeah,
And how,
that's something I'll check with Prakash, actually, and we will let you know. Yeah.
and regarding the support, even after the class, if you need to clarify some concepts and if you need some help, uh, would you be helping out?
Yeah, we can define a time window basically. So within that, you can utilize we can create one channel actually, and you can, put your queries in there, and then, as soon as I look at, I will respond on that. Yeah.
Perfect. And do you currently work in this medical sector, banking sector? What kind of sector do you currently work in? You studied your 6, 7 years. You're
Mhm.
7 years in Palantir with Palantir, or
No, not with working on printers. Work is a freelance basically, so it's
sorry,
not, specific.
your voice is
Uh,
breaking, sir.
can you hear me now?
Yeah, better.
Okay. Yeah. So I was saying I'm not working with Palantir. I do work, on Palantir technology, right? And I work, as a more of as a freelance actually, right? So the projects, keep on changing sometimes. So that's how it is.
Okay, okay. And how long do you have this data engineering scientist experience? Just curious, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So it's 5 to 6 years actually since I started
Mhm.
on this tool itself. So before that, I had experience working on data actually, more on data analytics side, data transformation side. But in data engineering also, right, you are doing somewhat similar things where you are transforming the data, right? But on top of it now, you must, understand that, if you have to, because now in the modern world, right now, what matters most is how do you save the cost on computing, right, and storage,
Mm, mm,
right? So with those aspects, basically, if you look at any code, right, you would go through that, how do you do vertical scaling, how do you do horizontal scaling, right? So those
mhm.
aspects are something which are very much important in the data engineering side, right?
Okay,
So yeah.
got it. Yep, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, first, how do you access this Foundry
Mhm.
tool actually? I mean, do
Right.
you require any credit card, debit card, Aadhaar
Yes,
card like
so
that?
right. So this is a free developer account actually, right? And it requires you to create a profile, and that profile would, you would have to have credit card basically, and you would also, I think, they would also ask you to, enter details for a government ID actually. So these two
Oh,
things are there, and then you would be able to set it up. Yeah.
and in terms of certification, how do you?
Yeah. So there are two things basically in terms of certification. One is a Foundry Aware exam, right, which is free of cost, so everybody can give it, right? So there are some courses within the Foundry itself, right, which you can do and achieve it. Courses on pipeline builder, code repository, right, workshop application, right. So these are very basic courses, right?
Okay.
Uh, right. That is first certification, Foundry Aware exam, right? So as I said, free of cost. Once you become good in Foundry, right, so then there are three certifications, two certifications actually, third one I think they're trying to introduce maybe, or they might have introduced. So first certification is on the data engineering, right? Second is on application development, right? So
Okay.
data engineering would cover your concepts on the data ingestion, pipeline builder, code repository, right? Then some concepts on ontology also, right? Application development would be more focused on the ontology side, workshop side, action side, right? Action type and all of that, right?
Okay. Okay.
These are cost based, and one certification would cost you 250 USD, $250 US dollars. So I think that would
Mm,
be roughly maybe what, I think 15,000, or maybe more than that, something like that.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, it would be much more now actually. It would be 20 or 22,000 something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that again, sir, the data engineer certificate, what does that focus on?
That cost is same, 250 USD. It would cover the contents with
Oh,
respect to data connection, pipeline builder, code repository, contour analysis,
okay, okay.
ontology. So all these concepts would get covered in that.
Kind,
Yeah.
kind of the back end stuff, is it?
Yes, correct.
Okay, okay.
Right. So I think in the interest of time, right, this is what we have to offer on today's session, right? This was anyway a demo session, right? So constitutes all the, parts that we are going to cover, and I think we have got a little bit of understanding on where everybody is right now, right, in terms of Spark, in terms of TypeScript, or awareness on the Foundry tool, right? So one expectation would be that you would set up this free profile, free developer account for yourself also. If you have your company instance, that also works, right? But yeah, so it's something that so that you can learn through it practically, right? Not just by looking at the sessions, but also parallelly getting inside it and doing the heavy lifting, right? And secondly, in terms of documents, right, that is something I'm going to share with you in terms of Apache Spark, right? So that you get a bit of understanding that how it works, right? What is the architecture, right? Yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, yeah.
Can
Yes,
I
please
ask
go ahead.
one more question, please?
Regarding
Yes.
the time schedule, how many total number of days? I think it said 4 hours each for 8 days. Is that
Mhm.
the time schedule for the course?
Right, right. Forget about that number of hours. I'm going to revise it, right? And we are going to, revise this and publish a new schedule, basically. So, yeah.
Okay, so approximately, do you know like how many days do we have to invest as per this these topics?
Yeah. So, well, on that, can we get back to you, right? Maybe by end of day
Sure,
today.
no worries,
Yeah.
no worries. Yeah.
Okay.
Again, one
Yeah.
more thing. Do you do some crash course or something that similar to that on like the basics of data engineering and PySpark, all those kind of refresher course or something like that for 2 or 3 days, something like? Do you provide something like that?
Mm, data engineering and okay. I would have to look through. That is not something which I generally cover actually. Uh, but yeah, I would have to search through the internet and get it. Yeah. So yeah.
Okay, can you get back to me like whenever you put like a
Okay.
to the yeah
Sure.
to
Yeah.
organize the space. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, Ankit, maybe I ask one question lastly.
Yes,
So,
Terry. Please go ahead.
Ankit, just how is the market actually like for Palantir? Like since we are switching, right? So just trying
Yeah.
to understand like how is the market and how is the like packages, how it is happening like, on average.
So, so far, I'm seeing market has been, increasing for Palantir, right? Since, as I said, I got into working on this tool back in, say, it start of, say 2020. And
Mm-hmm.
at that time, it was very new, right? And even I was not sure, right? Because it was more of a tool-based understanding you were getting, right? So,
Got it. Yes.
but yeah, because, this company is based out of US, right? And they have a backing
It's
of,
more costly tool actually.
yeah, they have a backing of even president also from there. So they got into, multiple, industries now, multiple companies
Mm-hmm.
now. So, it started, I think, with maybe aero industry where they got a client as Airbus. Then I think
Okay.
they got into automotive industry also where they got some of the clients like Lear or Forvia, right? These are some of the companies.
Mm-hmm.
Then they got into, I think, medical also, right? Pharmaceuticals also where they got into working with, I think, uh, there are some US based companies, right? And then
Got
Novartis,
it.
we
I think Novartis is there. And for automotive, I think Stellantis, they also have.
Stellantis is there, yes, correct.
Yeah,
So there,
Novartis
yeah,
also there.
yeah, right. And
So,
even
what
telecommunication
I
companies like AT&T and many others are also using it. So
got
so
it.
yeah, it's expanding basically across industries and
It's
yeah.
yeah. So what I like on my research, like I understand like from US, that market is good actually. In
Yeah.
like if we start looking here in India, right? So so do we have good chances like we'll be getting the calls and we can switch or something like rarely we'll get a calls.
Mhm.
Maybe
So
you
in
may aware or not.
yeah. So companies, which are Indian companies, right? Product-based companies, there
Mm-hmm.
would be very less, right? But the MNCs, right, which have set up their organizations or set up their centers within India, right? For example, it could be any company, right? Like Lear,
I
CBRE,
see.
right? Like,
Yeah, I see Capgemini, Infosys.
yeah,
These guys
cab.
are. I see the
Mhm.
like job postings are there actually. I see some
Yeah,
active
so
posts
see,
they are
so
putting.
there are two type of organizations, right? One is product based, one is service based, right? So service
Service
based
based. Yes,
companies we do have in India, right? Like Capgemini, Cognizant, every office is there, right? So they support
yes,
the
yes.
clients which are based out of US, Europe, right? Like that.
True,
So
true.
so that ways, yes, there is a lot of opportunity, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
was just referring to, I thought maybe you were referring to companies which are, based out of or Indian companies actually, right? So those would not be using it. So it's much more of
Correct,
a,
correct.
yeah, yeah, that way it is.
So we can
So
expect more from service based companies if we
service
start
based
looking out here.
companies or maybe
Yeah.
the GCCs basically, right? So the companies which do not, which export their work, outsource their work to, for example, these Accenture or Cognizant maybe or Capgemini, right? But they
Mm-hmm.
do keep some of the work to themselves also, right? So they set up their GCCs, right? Correct.
Yeah.
So like
Yep.
knowledge centers, right? So those companies are also there, right? So like it's like that.
So if we start looking, we can expect the calls. And how is this packages wise? How it is like on average? Any idea on that? Like for we
I
can take
believe
for some
that,
with 3 years.
yeah, so starting from 3 years of experience, right?
Yeah, I guess
I'm
your
getting
voice is
maybe, yeah,
your
is it
voice
better
is
now?
not clear. Yeah, better now, better now. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it starts from maybe what, you know, I think 7 to 8, and I think it would range to maybe 70 or,
No, I think you went little bit back, it seems. So what my question was like, say I have around 15 years experience now. So I can't go and tell that I'm a fresher with this experience like that. So
Mhm.
ultimately we have to show some experience, like if we talk like
Yeah,
frankly. So if I tell like I am 15 years experience and I have been working on Palantir from past careers, if I tell, so what would be the on average I'm telling, what we can expect like with this kind of combination?
I think 50, yeah, I think maybe 50, 55 is something you can clock easily.
Okay,
Over and above, I think, they would require someone who has, architect experience, who has experience on AIP also, right? Like how do you
okay,
create, AIP applications, right? Where you would be writing system prompts, right? So what are the guardrails,
got it.
and so all that understanding you would have to have. And then I think you would
So
get
if
in that
you
case
have,
maybe 70. Yeah.
yeah, this RAG, LLM, if we have knowledge, that should be a added advantage to us if we have knowledge
Yes,
on
yes,
that, right?
because now in the modern engineering, that is, mainly required. I mean,
Like,
architect experience is required, and that is also required, right? So code-based experience is, going less. It's more of
hmm.
architect-based experience plus modern engineering, LLM or AI experience. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
So,
appreciate your patience. Maybe my last question would be there. And so in Palantir, we have different specializations. Like generally we do like functional development. So it is divided like this, or we will be expertise in the entire tool for the
Yeah,
Palantir if we
so
go.
right. So if you have to clock, higher CTC, you have to, be good in all the areas, right? So there are three
Okay,
areas. One is data ingestion, right? How do you ingest the data
okay,
inside Foundry? Second is where
okay.
you work on the use case project, where you would be doing the data transformations, right?
Got it.
A lot of data
Okay.
engineering using the data transformation, and last part
Mm-hmm.
is application development, where you'd be working on workshop application, right? Or action types, right?
Okay.
uh, and
Got
then
it.
there is one more part now, which is AI part, right? So
Uh-huh.
which will encapsulate all of these three, right? Maybe so.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So you're covering all these topics, right, Ankit? Application
Yes,
development.
correct. Yeah.
Yeah, since I'm not pitching in from starting because I have been in data engineering, I'm using Spark extensively. I know all those things.
Mhm. Yeah.
So what you were talking, all those things, I was aware. We use PySpark actually. Okay.
Okay.
So I need to understand the tool. That's it. That should be like a bit good thing. But yeah,
Hmm.
Ankit, very helpful session from you. Thanks for your patience for answering all this.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
No
that's it
problem.
from
Ankit,
my end.
In terms
Yes.
of architect side, how what we need to do actually? Because solutioning, how do you do that? And
Hmm.
do you require some more training or how it is? Because
So
16, 15 plus years and all,
mhm.
I think we need to be in that area actually, giving a
Mhm.
solution to that use case. And I mean, that kind of training, how do you get it, or how you will teach us or something like that?
Yeah, actually, my the training will be much more focused, as I said, right, on the platform side. Architect wise, right, there are two things, right? One, you would have to understand the overall tool, basically, right? Second thing is that the experience that you have built so far, right, working
Hmm.
in industry, right, from past 15,
Okay.
16 years, right? So how do you see a
Okay.
problem statement, and then how do you structure it? How do you break it up, right, to get to the final solutions? That is something which you would have to do on your own, right? I would be helping you in terms of the tool, actually, that this is a capability of the tool. Overall,
Okay.
this is a journey which tool has, basically how the data flows from one way to another way. How do you create data models within the Foundry, right? Those are some of the things which I can tell you. But yeah, in the live problem, how do you break those problems, right, and get to the solution, is something you would
I
have
mean,
to.
that is what I mean. The
So
interview
Yeah.
perspective and all we need to learn because see, if
Yeah.
you have a big data, then you can use Spark. For the every time we cannot use PySpark, correct? If your data volume is very less, in that case you need to go for a Python.
Correct,
See, like
correct.
that
Yes,
kind of
yes.
things.
Those things I'll
Uh,
be covering. Yeah, those
yeah.
things I'll be covering. Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
So in interest, coding will be there, Ankit?
Yes.
How the interview pattern will be? Coding will be, they will be asking the coding
Yeah.
as well, right?
Right.
Uh,
Got it.
Ankit,
Got it.
Ankit,
Yes, Subin.
quick question. So, uh, regarding the architecting, is that really setting up and automating data pipelines, all those things, the overall setting up of the problem, is it? Solution for the problem. Is that what you exactly mean by architecting?
No, so architecting not just means that it's about, how do you orchestrate the flow, right? That if you have, like, I think Sharif mentioned, right, or maybe Rajesh, that, if you have a large amount of data, right, for example,
Hmm.
in TBs, right? So how do you
Hmm.
basically, what techniques do you apply, right, to get that data inside the Foundry first, right?
Okay, got it.
Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
So those kind of things are there, right?
Got it. But you'll be covering all those concepts
Yeah,
and
I'll be covering all
practical.
the
Yeah.
scenarios. Yeah, that is
But
there. I'll be
how to
covering
use it
the.
is something that we need to gain from our experience. Yeah. Okay. And
Yeah, right.
you are based in US or are you based in India? When you said about the job opportunities in India, like
Mhm.
are you currently based in India or are you currently in US or outside abroad?
No, I'm based out of India itself.
Sorry?
I'm based out of India itself.
Okay. So in India, this is more chance in the as somebody was mentioning in the service sector than in the product
Mhm.
side, or if not in the MNCs. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Thank you, Ankit.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I think, yeah, we're past 20 minutes. So I think it was an engaging session, and we will get back to you, with the details by end of the day in terms of schedule and everything, right? Yeah.
Yes. Thanks, Ankit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all. Bye. Yeah.